This is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast, hosted by Roman Prokopchuk, bringing you all things digital marketing, tech, business, and motivation. What's stopping you from becoming relentless in all aspects of life? Are you ready to become a digital savage? Let's get into today's episode.
Hey everyone, this is Roman Prokopchuk, and this is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast. Today I have with me Catherine Jirak. Catherine is the co-founder and COO of QueBIT. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Roman. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for coming on. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get to where you are today?
Sure. So I started my career let me just start by saying, when you say where I am today, my journey really has been about QueBIT and how I got to QueBIT. And this year we are 19 years old. So it's been a while. Okay. So if I think back of how I started, how I got here, it really happened pretty much right out of college. I worked for a public accounting firm. And after that, I went to one of my clients. And, I was doing well. I was, quote unquote, climbing that corporate ladder. And then a few years in, my company decided to relocate to Chicago. I found out I was pregnant. And at the same time, I found out that my mom had cancer. So one of the things I learned really early on in my adult life was plans will always change, So, my plan of climbing that corporate ladder kind of changed right then and there because my husband was a New York City firefighter, so the relocation definitely wasn't going to happen. I was pregnant, and then my mom she was dying at the time, so I wanted to be home. So after spending a year or so home, I decided then to just get into my own accounting practice. One of the things that was great about that was I loved getting out of the back office and getting out working with clients. So I could use my accounting and finance skills, technology skills to serve customers. So that was really great. And during that time, I stumbled upon this software package called Peachtree, much like Quicken, I'm sure a lot of your audience is familiar with. And that's really how I got involved in software. I was lucky enough to be asked to become a Peachtree support person where I could use my financial background and my understanding of the technology to help customers. So in a way, that's a little bit of the back of the story because once I, was using Peachtree, I started to learn about other technologies, other software. And one in particular was this business modeling software called the Data. And that's when I met Gary, who is my current business partner. And we met in Waco, Texas at a customer of all places. And as I say, the rest is history. So Gary and I met, in the late 90s, but we didn't establish QueBIT until late 2001, right after 9/11. So again, best laid plans, things were not so great. And as I mentioned, my husband was a New York City firefighter. So it was pretty dark times then, but we were creative and we persevered. So, at first it was really just Gary and I. And what we did is we help companies build budgeting, forecasting applications that use data from a whole bunch of different systems like their general ledger, their payroll system, sales journals, customer journals. We really understood the financial calculations and we understood how the data was created and stored. And at that time, those combination of skills were pretty scarce. So we kind of really were on the forefront of the data analytics revolution. Based on our success that we were having, we quickly realized we had something special. But then the question was how do we grow this, or how do we, capitalize on this opportunity? So that's when we started to really build our team. And so then really, over the next 20 years, or, almost 20 years, we started to build what is now a over 100-person company. And when I look back, I can say there's really three significant events that helped us get from 2 to over 100 person company. And the first one was an acquisition of another company, a similar organization like ours, similar in size, but they had different types of skills and talents. So that was pretty interesting, because here we were, a small company, and even the thought of acquiring a company was so foreign to me. And it was like just taking a chance and saying, oh, can we do this? And we just happened to meet this gentleman, Richard Creeth, and we really connected, and we were in this same business, but different customer bases. So he was looking to retire, and we were looking to grow. So it was like a perfect opportunity. And so we acquired Creeth Richmond, and that was great. The next event the next thing that we actually did at QueBIT that really helped us grow and really continuation of this journey was we decided to start our own training and development program. We were in this field of, analytics, it's really budgeting, planning. So it's a combination of technology and finance. And honestly, we were having trouble, hiring people. We just couldn't find the right talent. So we decided, why don't we go out and find some really smart kids or, aspiring professionals and train them. So we went out to colleges and we went to career fairs, and it's where we ended up hiring. We hired mathematicians, engineers, all types of engineers, and some finance folks. And then we developed a training program. And what was great about that was that helped build our team, because we'd hire two groups, one in the summer and one in the winter. So now we were able to hire a bunch of kids, and they could come together, and they had their little cohort, their team. They got to know each other, and they learned together. So that really, helped us over the course of 6 to 7 years add about 60 consultants to our team. So that was really more successful than I could have ever imagined. And then the other thing we did a little bit after we started our training program was in the establishment of a sales organization. We had someone, another Gary, come to us from one of our partners, IBM, and he actually came to us with a proposal about joining our team, and it couldn't have happened at a better time, because he really wanted to come in and help build a sales team. And now that we were bringing on new consultants, we really did need someone that could go out there and get business, so that we could feed all of those mouths. So those are the three things I think that really have kind of led us to where we are today. And they were really the catalyst for the growth and the nurture of our company culture, having these cohorts, having training sessions. Everyone started to get to know each other. And it was really important, especially important because since the beginning, so back to 2001, we started QueBIT really with a vision of having a completely virtual company. And at that time, that was a little bit unusual. But again, all of these things really have added, and we've been able, despite being virtual, we've been able to really build a great company culture and establish a brand for ourselves.
That's awesome. And I think obviously we're often defined by the personal things that happen in our life, and then obviously starting a business and what transpires there. And kind of looking back, what happened in your personal life kind of set you up and got you to a point where starting QueBIT was possible. And obviously it's interesting as well that QueBIT was started in another kind of tumultuous time, which now we're going through as well. And the fact that the company was remote to begin with is great now in terms of people being able to adapt to their current kind of work environments and relationships with clients. Obviously you have that wrench if people have kids that are kind of school age kids, or even kids in college that are coming back home and they're quarantined, but a gift and a curse per se. And I think it's interesting also that business in terms of planning, in terms of these tough times, are moving a little bit in terms of the rationale and mindset from a predictive model to a more agile approach.
Well, in some ways you just kind of described our whole journey. I mean, a few things. you have to take opportunities as they present themselves. Your best laid plans, sometimes never happen. So if your plans change, you have to really adapt, and I think we're seeing that especially today in this environment. And as you said, we really were one of the lucky companies, because we have established a virtual working environment. We've had 18 years, 19 years of figuring out what are the challenges with a virtual working environment. So we're pretty well equipped to, adapt to this new environment. And we can also help our customers too, because we have been doing it for a while. It really hasn't, it has impacted us, yes, of course, because new business isn't coming in and our customers are being challenged. But from an actual working perspective, everyone here at QueBIT is used to this way of working. So it's actually, it's been interesting, but we really feel very fortunate because of it. We've been able to continue without too many hiccups.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually saw a business cartoon where there are people in a boardroom and saying we don't need to focus on digital transformation. And then there's like a wrecking ball that's basically the coronavirus. It throws you right into that situation.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see more and more of that. Any of these companies that have been, hesitating or feeling like they weren't ready to move to embark on a digital project, I think we're going to see many, many more of those to come in the future.
Yeah, I do as well. So what motivates you to succeed?
When I think about like what motivates me, I think about, well, what is it that drives me? And I think it's really just the feeling that you get when you've accomplished something or when you master something. It's like, yes, I've got it. Yes, I can do it. And I've always had this, I don't know, it's almost like you can, like this insatiable desire to do something, do it really well. And it's usually, I grew up in a time where, women were not as much into sports. So it wasn't until I became an adult that I got, I started to play tennis and I started to ski and I started to golf. And I found then doing those types of activities that it was almost like this insatiable desire to master something. And then I think about work and I think about, well, learning software and learning some of the technologies. It was the same thing. It was like I had worked till 2 or 3 in the morning to solve a problem. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I think it's just that desire, persistence to actually master something. I also hear in my year all the time, my dad always saying, like, never give up, never give up. You're just as good as anyone else. It doesn't matter how many times you do something. You can achieve the same. You can achieve it. The other thing that's really motivating to me now, like within QueBIT, is I think the thing that I'm most proud of, but it also motivates me to help educate more, is when I see these young kids that really came out of college and that we were able to train and give them the confidence to go out and work with our clients and learn technology and understand people. And when I see them, either up on a stage presenting or conducting a design session with one of my customers, it's so rewarding. So I think that also motivates me. It motivates me to want to continue to see them grow. It's great. It's great to see where they've, how far they've come.
Yeah, I agree. And also kind of the job being done is, helping create jobs, save jobs, grow companies, make companies more streamlined. So there's that added kind of gratification where you're directly responsible for success of your client.
Yeah. Sometimes when I think about, what we do, I say, oh, well, I'm not saving the world, but hey, but we are employing, 100 people. We're putting food on their table. We're taking care of their families. We're providing health care. So yeah, that all it is a good feeling at the end of the day. I feel that we've, succeeded in contributing to society.
Yeah, I agree. So what's one thing you may have seen as a weakness in yourself in the past that you've turned around and utilized as a strength today?
Well, like many folks, I'm sure, over my career or my life, maybe when I was younger, I don't think I noticed it or it impacted me as much. But at least in my adult life, I have suffered a lot from that imposter syndrome, and I'm sure again many of your your listeners have heard about that from early on in my career, because I feel like I've always been successful. Or at least I was always offered opportunities that, like, I was always offered the opportunity. I was recruited for my clients. I was promoted at my job numerous times. And I always felt like I was doing well, but I didn't know what I was doing that I deserved, all those accolades. And again, I don't know, again, that's, insecurities, just always felt that people thought I knew a lot more than I did. So my self-confidence at times has suffered, but one thing about getting older, it does give you the ability to have some perspective. And especially in the last few years, I can look back and I can see, what I've achieved. Again, like I was saying, like we've built this company and given people jobs, and just how I've persevered despite, some of those insecurities and pursued my goals. So I've been able to succeed. So I feel like I could be much more sensitive to other people, the younger professionals in my company. I feel like I have a lot of empathy for them. If I see them struggling, I can offer them encouragement. I'm not so quick to judge people, because sometimes, I know with myself, I felt like I was being judged. Sometimes people just need a little bit of support, and they need some encouragement, and also just some confidence from someone external to be able to, see their talents and not only encourage them, but challenge them to take the next step, because, then they will gain confidence from that. So I feel like it's helped me become a better leader, a better manager. I can be their cheerleader. So I think that's what I would say if I had to look at what my weaknesses were.
Yeah, and I think over time, people develop, well, hopefully most people, obviously some don't, in terms of emotional empathy, a better emotional IQ, and a better self-awareness through experiences. And obviously those experiences take time, but I think everyone to a certain extent, is anxious or self-conscious about something. It's just, how they show it or choose to show it. I know in terms of public speaking, there's a survey that people have taken that they said they would rather die than talk in front of a group of people. So I think everybody has that. And even like the biggest speakers, your Tony Robbins, your, other people that are motivational speakers and command large audiences, they just do a good job coping with it and kind of get past it in their own ways.
Yeah, I think everybody has their challenges. And that's a little bit about overcoming your, insecurities, is also realizing that everybody has, their own insecurities. So you're not the only one. And that, and Roman, we have worked together. Like I have my own challenges with the speaking, etc. But yeah, I think that it gives me a better perspective of, helping people succeed in general.
Yeah, I agree. So what's one piece of advice you can leave with the audience?
Well, of course, like I said, I hear my dad in the back of my head, like, never give up, can achieve anything, if you put your mind to it. Just set your expectations in small bites. So if you want to get somewhere or be something or, master a skill or a sport, you have to break it down. So you can break it down to achievable tasks. So realize that, nobody knows everything. It's okay not to know everything, but always know where to look for an answer. And the other thing, as far as like advice, I am so much about passion. I'm passionate about I'm passionate about skiing. I'm passionate about golf. I'm passionate about QueBIT. I'm passionate about seeing people succeed. And I think that everyone that has a passion, like it comes through so much. And it can be contagious. And I just think if you're, especially at a job, if you're working at something and you're not passionate about either something in your life or what you're doing, like life's too short, and it's too precious to do something you don't like. So it's really important to find passion in life and have fun.
Yeah, I agree. Right now is actually a good time that maybe if you aren't passionate about either what you do, or if you're looking for something that, in your personal life, like a hobby or something like that, or figuring out a side hustle or something you can do to really add to that kind of quality of life. Because I'm sure most people are going a little stir crazy, that it's a great time to utilize that time to focus on something positive and not necessarily, dwell of the fear of the unknown.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like, if you're passionate about something, you're motivated. If you're motivated, you feel good. It's just like, I don't know. I think this is a great time for us to use this time productively. Every day I wake up, these last few weeks, I keep telling myself, okay, what am I going to say to myself, when this is over? Like, did I use this time productively? Did I, did I work out? Did I learn something new? Did I keep in touch with people? Did I help people? So I think, again, like you said, especially this time right now with this pandemic, use your time wisely and seek out something that you might, you never had time to learn, but now you do.
I agree. So I really appreciate you stopping by today. Can you let the audience know how they can find you and more about QueBIT?
Sure. Well, you can find out more about QueBIT at www.qbit.com. You can reach me at cjirak at qbit.com. And I'm on LinkedIn. And yeah, I think that's about it. But thanks so much for having me today. I really enjoyed this, Roman. And be well, stay safe, and stay healthy.
Thank you. Thanks again for stopping by.
Hey everyone, this is Roman Prokopchuk from Roman Prokopchuk's Digital Savage Experience podcast. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free, so that's always good. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
This podcast has been brought to you by Nova Zora Digital. Find out how Nova Zora Digital can help your company grow online. Learn more at novazoradigital.com. Until next time, all you digital savages.